This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Did you want to give that a shot? Okay, if not, I can just conference you into it.
It sounds like we've got someone who is on mic that should be on mute.
Did your husband write down?
Brian.
Will someone please deal with the, okay.
Okay. Madam President, we are recording.
I understand that. So if we are all in place and ready, would you please, Yvette and Mr. Brayovich, take the steps necessary to open the meeting?
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, February 8, 2022. This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. General Counsel?
Good morning. In conformity with California Assembly Bill AB 361 and due to public health concerns and directives issued by the Mayor of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles County Public Health Department regarding reducing the spread of COVID-19, this meeting of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners for the City of Los Angeles will be conducted with some or all commissioners appearing virtually from remote locations. All public comment will be taken telephonically. We may announce a recess if we have technical difficulties or if we lose a quorum due to technical difficulties. Members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call area code 213-306-3065. Again, that number is 213-306-3065. And when prompted, use meeting code 248-3519-7211. Again, the meeting code is 248-3519-7211. The Secretary will call on you when it is your turn to speak. Please state whether you are speaking on a specific agenda item or on general public comment. You will have up to 2 minutes per item and a total of 5 minutes for all items. It is important when you are going to speak to please turn down the volume on your devices so that we do not get feedback. I now turn it back over to the Acting Board Secretary for a roll call.
Thank you. President McCLAIN-HILL?
Present.
Vice President Reyes?
Present.
Commissioner LEHRER?
Present.
Commissioner NEEMAN Brady?
Present.
Commissioner BARAD Hopkins? Not yet. Okay, 4 members present and a quorum.
Okay, thank you so very much. This morning, I would like to begin the meeting with some opening comments regarding the commemoration and celebration of Black History Month. Today's celebration of Black History Month stems from the efforts of a Harvard-trained historian named Dr. Carter Woodson, who in 1915 established an association to promote the scientific study of Black life and history. That was a brave and trailblazing move at a time when the social and academic climate of North America dehumanized African Americans as non-citizens. Woodson's personal motto was, "It's never too late to learn." And that was the foundation for the creation of Black History Month. By 1926, Woodson established a full week dedicated to the contributions of Black Americans, and by 1976, every American president dedicated February as Black History Month. Black history is American history. For over 400 years, from the founding of this nation to the establishment of this great city, people of African descent built this country's early infrastructure and continue to do so today. African Americans created the first clock, the first pacemaker, and built the walls of the U.S. Capitol building. It is so inspiring to think of the countless contributions Black Americans have made to our society despite the injustices they endured for centuries. African Americans have and will continue to be an essential part of history and the culture of our nation, our city, and our department. Although February is designated as Black History Month, we must celebrate and recognize the contributions of Black Americans every day of the year. This recognition, this Black History Month, comes at an interesting, if not critical time in our history. I am struck by the fact that as we sit this morning, books are being taken out of libraries, and indeed laws introduced in states across this nation that would call into question the very legality of the continued celebration of Black History Month. It is with immense pride that I join my fellow commissioners in celebrating our African American workforce, their numerous achievements, and their dedication to providing utility services to the over 4 million people in the city of Los Angeles. At the same time, we must acknowledge that structural inequities in our workplace exist. LADWP is committed to diversifying our workforce to ensure African Americans have greater access to roles throughout our entire organization, particularly at the leadership level. We acknowledge how past policies and practices left out many of our customers in disadvantaged communities, including the African American community. With programs like LA 100 Equity Strategies, LADWP is taking deliberate steps to right these wrongs, set community-driven goals, and implement policies that ensure environmental justice. I also want to recognize the importance of our department's employee resource groups like LADWP NSBE that are dedicated to making the department more inclusive. LADWP NSBE, along with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, is hosting a full program of Black History Month virtual events this month for employees, a huge accomplishment that connects our workplace to help promote understanding and acceptance. I encourage all employees to participate in these events and enrich our understanding and appreciation of each other's commonalities and differences. To LA NSBE, the board and I support you, and we are excited to learn more about your many activities over the past year during your presentation. Like Dr. Woodson's motto, it is never too late to learn. Together, we at LADWP are learning. We are committed to becoming more diverse, equitable, and inclusive as an employer and a utility provider. And with that, we will move to the next item on our agenda. Board Secretary, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. We have one public comment, and her name's Allison Weber.
Hello, my name is Allison Weber, and I am making a public comment here today as an organizer for the Keep Long Valley Green Coalition, which was formed in response to the dewatering of Long and Little Round Valleys in Eastern California. The coalition, comprised of a diverse group of advocates throughout both the Eastern Sierra as well as LA, is calling on the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to provide a binding agreement for yearly water supply based on that year's snowpack for Long Valley and Little Round Valley, as they have done in the past. The coalition recognizes LADWP's sustainability achievements per the most recent Urban Water Management Plan and seeks to work with LADWP moving forward so that LA can meet all of its water needs and significantly reduce water exports from the Eastern Sierra. Beginning such a mutually beneficial partnership means first honoring the economic, cultural, and environmental impacts that irrigation of the Long Valley and Little Round Valley lands have in Eastern Sierra, as well as the many negative impacts that dewatering will have on resident livelihoods, impacting agriculture, tourism, valuable wetland habitat, air pollution, wildfire risk, and even the area's ability to weather climate change. The Keep Long Valley Green Coalition asks for a legally binding promise to continue watering these lands for the benefit of the people, plants, animals, and general ecosystem that means so much to those living in Eastern Sierra and those visiting from LA. LADWP claims to care for this land and for threatened species such as the sage grouse. The residents of these lands ask that LADWP show this commitment with long-term protection for the wetlands created by historical and ongoing irrigation of Long Valley and Little Round Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. That will now close all public comment.
Thank you. Then we will move to our report from the General Manager.
Thank you very much. To begin my comments this morning, I would like to just highlight some of the employee activities we are doing in regards to really celebrating this organization and the diversity that we have here, and really the rich cultural fabric, I made a new word there, fabric that really makes who we are as a department and how we so well represent the customers that we serve. To President McCLAIN-HILL's comments, this is Black History Month. We are celebrating with a number of events, and I have to tell you, President, that the employees very much appreciate your leadership in these issues and your presence. I know you're slated to be at every event and provide your comments, and we very much appreciate that and your insights and certainly the background that you bring to these issues. Last week, we did kick off with a cooking show by our own chef, Paul Ramey. Paul gave a discussion about the history and cultural significance of the jambalaya cuisine. It was made everybody hungry. I just ran into Paul about 30 minutes ago in the hallway. He's one of our tall security officers who I'm sure you all recognize. And he said ever since then he's gotten comments from everyone, questions about spices and differences between Cajun and Creole and blackening and all sorts of things. And so many cultural celebrations for every culture evolve around food and togetherness and community. And so it was a great show. He can't wait to do actual demonstration, hopefully downstairs in the patio, which we'll all make sure we're part of enjoying that as well. On February 17th, we do have a presentation in conjunction with NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, our LA chapter here. And that's to look at the engineering accomplishments and achievements of African-American engineers and folks in the utility industry. There'll also be a special legacy presentation for Willie Gibson, a former department employee. And so that'll be coming up on February 17th, and I hope that you can join us in that. And then on February 24th, there is an employee event. It's a presentation called Diversity of the LADWP Black Family and African American Diaspora. I have to tell you that when we've done the kind of family discussions about people's lived experience on these cultural celebrations is really interesting, and folks from all over the department, from every background, tune in and really learn a lot. I remember it was just a couple months ago in Hispanic Heritage Month. I remember comments from Anselmo and a few of the others that were on there, and these things still ring true to me. And I think of the rich history, and I can't wait to hear what we have to hear on the 24th about added history. It really builds that understanding and appreciation for the cultural backgrounds that our employees bring to this department and really make us who we are. And then lastly, at the end of the month on the 28th, Monique Earl, our senior AGM, who's in charge of our DEI office, will be speaking to the Metropolitan Black Employees Association. So we have a number of events to go forward this month. I hope that you participate in them. I hope that as many of our employees can tune in as possible. They're all centered around lunchtime, and they're all online, and it should be a great series of events and celebrations. Also this month, really this week and starting last week, we are celebrating the Lunar New Year. Lunar New Year was started last week. It's the Year of the Tiger, and on Thursday, there'll be a online meeting at lunchtime. It's called Perspectives of Lunar New Year, What Lunar New Year Means to Me. It'll be a virtual panel that, again, is open to everyone, so I hope that folks can join in that, and that's being put on by our DEI office, along with an employee group called Aspire, which is Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, supporting progress, inclusion, respect, and empowerment. So we have some very active employee groups here. I know you're going to hear from NSBE shortly. And I will tell you, one of the most rewarding things that I see is when I tune into a NSBE meeting or a SHIP meeting or the Society of Hispanic Women, part of the Women Engineers meeting. Everyone is together. Everyone supports each other, and people tune in. And the collaboration and camaraderie that's developed and the strength of these groups amongst our employees is really fantastic to see, and I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing the presentation. Lastly, I wanted to bring up, we did have back in March, we had a very successful and well-attended women's empowerment panel. That was followed by a survey over the summertime about women's needs. And so the Women's Council is ready to have its first kickoff meeting this month after establishing how it's going to move forward. President McCLAIN-HILL, as well as our Retirement Board President, LaTanya Boggin, are going to be the co-chairs of the committee. And so that'll really help to deal with issues that women find in the workplace. Remember that women are probably only about 28% of our workforce, but they play critical roles here. And as we work to look for opportunities and ways to expand women in non-traditional roles, we're also interested very much in how they deal with career development, mentorship, and really try to achieve work-life balance, because women play such an important role outside of the office as well, and we need to make sure that we have supported them in every way possible. So we're looking forward to the Women's Council starting up. I'd like to turn over to Anselmo real fast to talk about some very good news we had from one of our water crews last week. Anselmo, can you describe what happened with our folks in the Western District?
Absolutely. Thank you, Marty. Good morning, commissioners. So we have a mainline crew in the Water Distribution Division, the Western District to be specific, that actually took some pretty heroic actions that led to the saving of a man's life. So on February 1st, approximately on 12:30 or so, staff was in their lunch break, and they noticed a vehicle that pulled out from a driveway nearby, and shortly after ended up coming to a stop, and it was actually right next to another vehicle. The crew noticed that there was an elderly gentleman in the vehicle, and unfortunately, he was unconscious, and he could potentially be having a medical emergency. So our crew in the Western District Yard, they worked together to break the back window, and they were able to check the driver's pulse, and they started to do chest compressions until the paramedics arrived. So this mainline crew immediately jumped into action, and with their quick thinking and courage, they were able to save this man's life. I would like to take the opportunity to mention each one of them individually, because I think we all want to thank him for the heroic act that took place. Salvador Perez, who's a senior water utility worker, Robert Valdez, who's a water utility worker, David Carlson, also a water utility worker, Stephen Patino, an MCH, Louis Puentes, a backhoe operator, and Dennis Jones, a heavy-duty truck operator. So this group's quick thinking and selflessness demonstrated very much the values that we have here at DWP, and we think that they deserve to be recognized and celebrated for it. I would say that myself and Director Breonna Lindsay from Water Distribution are thankful for their heroic actions, and we already have signed a letter of commendation for them. So I want to take the opportunity to let the board know about this action they took and saving a man's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Anselmo. It was very good, great news, and a great showcase of our employees and how they go not just do their jobs well, but care for the community that they serve as well. I'd like to mention that at the end of January, we held a press event with Mayor Garcetti. It was about increasing our rebates that we give in one of our very popular programs in water conservation. It's the Technical Assistance Program. The Technical Assistance Program actually helps us with multifamily, commercial, and industrial building owners in conserving water. It's a bit of different scale than you'd have like in household conservation. It's a program that used to offer rebate up to $250,000. Now someone could apply up to $2 million. And it's for doing major work like cooling tower improvements, major system overhauls. That would save substantial amounts of water. Since the program came in inception in 1992, we've had about $10 million in rebates for over 1,000 projects. In total, we've saved about 1.8 billion gallons of water a year in this program. So these are large savers. Cooling tower assessments are a real big factor in this. And so the board had made a motion, this is a number of months ago, to actually increase this program. And so we had a press event with one of the customers who's taking advantage of it. And so we wanted to highlight that to you, that we're actually moving forward in trying to really achieve water savings, which we know is so important this year. We also had an increase in our residential EV charger program. We did an enhanced program by increasing the rebate for a qualifying level 2 charging station at a residence from $500 to $1,000. We added an additional $250 rebate for installation of a separate dedicated electric vehicle meter. And we also added a $500 addition to the rebate for for customers who are active participants in our Lifeline and Easy Save programs. So really trying to not only provide electric vehicle rebates for low-income customers, but also rebates on charging infrastructure so they can charge at their place of residence, and we can help move toward the electrification of our transportation. Lastly, I'd like to ask Joe Romalo to talk a little bit about the new water website and newsletter that we've launched and what he's got going on in his world to help push the department's message forward and provide better access and information for our customers. Joe?
Thank you, Marty. Good morning, commissioners. Since your last meeting, we actually launched 2 new websites. The first, working in conjunction with the board president, we updated and redesigned the board webpage, really to highlight the board's goals and initiatives. The address is ladwp.com/board. The website highlights the initiatives of the board, including a web focus and an individual page for each member, as well, highlighting their contributions, initiatives, and priorities, as well as related news articles and photos. It's a central web presence as well for major initiatives related to equity, diversity, and inclusion, including the LA 100 equity strategies, infrastructure work, affordability and rate assistance, our partnership with neighborhood councils, and more. I'd like to thank and recognize Michelle Figueroa from my team, as well as Jesse Johnson, who really put a lot of work into that and leaned into it. I think it's a very nice web presence. It's also really the front page for the board's web meetings and agendas, where it links back to our existing web page, and it was a very nice effort. Also, we launched a new water system website. Our team partnered with a consultant help in developing a new water website. It's located at ladwp.com/aboutyourwater. And it's really become clear that a lot of people in LA, among our stakeholders, don't know a lot of the basics around our website. Around our water system, and oftentimes confuse us with a lot of other public agencies providing water, or think we're their water provider. So this site really aims to educate our customers and stakeholders about the major issues involved with our water system, the infrastructure, our supply, conservation achievements, our commitment to the Eastern Sierra. The website provides high-level information to help people understand where their water comes from, learn about the high quality of their drinking water, infrastructure upgrades in our water distribution system, and our efforts to mitigate impacts of climate change on our water supply. In conjunction with the website, we launched an email newsletter called The Monthly Drop. It highlights the new website and various news related to our water programs and policy. The first issue was distributed last Monday to nearly 1,000 key stakeholders, including water industry members, local, state, and federal elected officials and staff, regional agencies, neighborhood councils, and other stakeholders. It'll be a monthly newsletter, and one we're looking forward to continuing to partner with our water system to promote their activities and projects. I'd also like to recognize and thank the many members of the water system for their work on this and partnership with us, as well as, again, Michelle heading up our corporate communications operations, and Carol Tucker from her staff and our team did a great job pulling it all together. We're really focused and committed to improving our efforts to share vital information about our operations and priorities with our customers and key partners in an understandable way. And I think this water system new page is a good model for us to follow in other efforts around the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So that concludes my report. I just want to thank the board for the opportunity to provide this update this morning and have it answer any questions. And I hope that you can all take advantage of participating in some of the events that are coming up. I think they really demonstrate our employees very well, and what they bring to the department really make us who we are. So I hope that you're able to help join with us and enjoy those events coming up. Thank you.
Any comments or feedback from board members? Okay, seeing none, I just have a couple points I'd like to make. First, with respect to the employees who stepped up and whose actions resulted in saving the life of an individual member of our community. Just kudos and much respect. One of the most difficult things about this current situation in terms of distance work and also the inability to meet in public or in person is that it makes it very difficult to properly thank and to commemorate really outstanding performance. Please know that we all appreciate and are very proud of their efforts, and like you, believe that they do exemplify the very best of the spirit of members of this department, people who are here to provide service and will go above and beyond to do what's necessary to take care of our fellow residents. So thank you for that. Joe, really appreciate both websites and the degree and what they reflect is the department's genuine interest in making it easy for people to find out what's happening, to understand and interact with the department, and to, not just demand accountability, but really to have a dialogue around which accountability can take place. And that first starts with, what the heck are you doing? Who are you? Where are you? How do we find you? And your team has done a brilliant job in making that process a lot easier for our residents. So thank you for that. And then finally, Marty, I did want to just preview for our workforce that at our next meeting, I first appreciate your providing some stability around our return to work. And I know that the department senior management is working very hard to think through what our post-Omicron surge processes are going to look like. I think as we all begin to cope with and appreciate the fact that COVID is likely to be a part of our lives for certainly the foreseeable future. So look forward to a presentation at our next meeting that begins to lay out the conditions under which we will be increasing the number of people who are working in person, how we will continue to support and under what circumstances remote work and other various strategies that we will have to manage to continue to manage our way through this difficult public health crisis. And then finally, I am also looking forward to an update on the JFB restack and some other items that we have coming up. So thank you for this and appreciate everybody's efforts, and just can't say enough how much we applaud, support, and recognize the diligence of the more than 10,000 people who continue to provide exemplary service to the city of Los Angeles by showing up either in person or remotely or out, in the field doing the work that they do every day. So if there's nothing else, we can move to our next item on the agenda. Motions for future consideration. I'm not aware of any motions at this time, so we will move to the next item. Dr. Pickle, do you have comments that you would like to provide now, or are you prepared to hold them for later in the agenda?
I am prepared to hold my comments till later in the agenda.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. Board Secretary.
No community impact statements or formal positions were filed by any neighborhood councils on the items on today's agenda.
All right, thank you very much for that. Let's see. I'm switching between too many different pieces and getting lost. Okay, then we will move to filed, I'm sorry,
Item 8.
Consideration of items recommended for approval. At this time, are there items that are currently listed on the agenda that members would like to hear special? It looks like we've selected item L for discussion. No. Is there any item that we've selected for discussion? I don't see any, so I would accept a motion for the items currently on our agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. So that's a motion to approve items L1 through L12. Is that correct? Is it under L? Yes, L1 through L12. Is there a second?
I second.
Could you please call the roll?
Board President McCLAIN-HILL,
Aye.
Vice President Reyes,
Aye.
Commissioner LEHRER,
Aye.
Commissioner NEEMAN Brady,
Aye.
Commissioner BARAD Hopkins,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Perfect. Then we will move to management reports, and it appears that we have two.
And can I just make a very short comment about 8, the recommendation by the Power System for Engineering, Planning, and Technical Services?
The item's been passed. You would have needed to have called it special.
Okay. It was just to sort of basically be supportive of the work that has been done by Paul Habib and others in the department to satisfy a group of couple hundred architects and urban designers who've been having trouble getting permits. So
no, thank you for that. It's always appropriate to single out the efforts of our staff, particularly when they have gone the extra mile to accommodate interest of members of the community. And I know that those are groups that you have been in close contact with and trying to facilitate discussion with. So I'm glad that's come together.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, terrific. Management presentations, we've got 2. So we'll start with, I think we'll take them in order. We'll start with the NSBE presentation, and then that will be followed up by a presentation regarding information technology.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Commissioner
Collins, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Marty. Good morning, commissioners, once again, and happy Black History Month. So today's presentation is by LADWP NSBE, and this is celebrating their 2nd anniversary as a professional chapter. They are one of several employee resource groups that we have here at DWP, and these ERGs provide a great opportunity for the employees to get to know each other, to volunteer in the community, but also to develop leadership skills, which is a great benefit for DWP. Today, we have 2 individuals that will be speaking to you about NSBE. First is the chapter president. His name is Inwe Lamumba, and he, once again, is the chapter president. He's an electrical engineer and he manages the major projects group in the Power Engineering and Technical Services Division. The other presenter is Katina Thomas. She is the chapter vice president, and she's a civil engineering associate and an associate project manager in the Water Engineering and Technical Services Division. So without further ado, I'm going to have Inwe and also Katina take it over. Thank you.
Next slide, please, Steve. So thank you for allowing us to provide an update on the status of our chapter and its progress over the last year. It has been 2 years since we first presented to the board, and it was for the launch of our chapter initiation. The chapter has grown significantly and made some major accomplishments during this time. The photograph that we're showing is one of our events that we had a great turnout for. As you can see, we've had Madam President McCLAIN-HILL and General Manager, Chief Engineer Marty Adams in attendance. And thank you for your continued support. Now, on behalf of the LADWP, National Society of Black Engineers Professionals Chapter, we thank you for your continued support and for allowing us to present to the Honorable Board today. Next slide, please. So in this report, we will provide an overview of important topics such as membership demographics, accomplishments, some key goals of the chapter, other areas where we have made inroads and with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and events that show implementation and execution. Next slide.
Good morning, commissioners. And Anselmo, thank you for that welcoming that you gave us. My name is Katina Thomas, and I am the Vice President for NSBE. And thank you again for allowing us the time to present our annual report to you. On this slide, you'll see we have a total of 88 members, and we are strong. Our membership is comprised of members from all three DWP systems. We have 39% in the power system, 33% in water, and 25% in joints. We also have a portion that is comprised of retirees and union members, who we are very proud of for their continued participation in the chapter. They represent the 3% of our membership. Next slide, please. Commissioners, I want to point out that this slide has been updated to reflect the new members that recently joined our chapter. So this is going to be different for you guys. But here's a look at the demographic breakdown with respect to ethnicity, STEM, and non-STEM job titles that make up our membership. African Americans represent 75% of the ethnic makeup, while non-African Americans represent the remaining 15%. With respect to job titles held by our members, STEM represents 75% and non-STEM 15%. As you can see from the demographic makeup, we are living up to our word of being open to all employees. Next slide, please.
Now, our chapter has been active to accomplish its core goals. The following core goals, community in STEM, Hbcu Recruitment, and JFB, have been at the forefront of our efforts over the past year, even in these challenging times with the current pandemic. We, as a chapter, have continued to take action in accordance with these goals. We are doing our part to build a diverse workforce. We provide opportunities for employees to come together and develop a culture of community, which is JFB, along with establishing a pipeline for STEM and future engineers. With regards to the community in STEM, the work of this zone has partnered with and supported organizations providing services in our communities, such as the partnership with Inglewood High School for NSBE Junior, and these works are in alignment with the mission, goals, and objectives of LADWP NSBE, and they also promote engineering and STEM-related educational and career opportunities among our K through 12th grade schoolers. Now, our chapter has been instrumental with participating in the Hbcu recruitment efforts, as well as recruitment at the local campuses and universities here in Southern California. Our work of JFB is building a community of membership support and professional development for our DWP employees. Now, with these core goals, we have accomplished a lot, and we will discuss a few significant items of note in the next slides. Next slide, please. Now, some of the exciting things that we have done over the last year was the Racial Equity and Black Experience event that had over 500 attendees. We held the annual Juneteenth celebration to commemorate this historical day. We also paid homage to the astounding legacy of Wallace T. Russell, who pioneered workforce diversity. We held over 10 workshops for professional development to provide enrichment to employees. Our mentorship program is in full swing with mentor development workshop sessions being held. And lastly, our work with STEM programs continued steadfast. Next slide, please.
In addition to the goals and programs that Nwaha just mentioned, we had a meet and greet with our senior AGM, Ms. Monique Earl, that was hosted by NSBE, SWE, and SHIP to discuss the mechanisms that support all of our resource groups, and our collaboration continues to grow. And let me just say, Ms. Earl has been very inclusive by inviting employee resource groups to conferences and workshops so we know how to be more impactful in the workforce. Now we're collaborating to develop guidelines to govern the use of our resources in support of the ERGs. Next slide, please.
So clearly, we've done a lot and we're not slowing down. This slide shows we have a full calendar for 2022, and we will have accomplished a lot by this time next year. These programs are designed to recruit the best and the brightest, to promote STEM among our youth, and to build a community that provides a vibrant experience for all of our employees. And thank you, Marty. He mentioned a few of the events, so I do appreciate that. Next slide, please.
Now, we're proud of the accomplishments we're sharing with you today, but more importantly, we like to showcase our members. You can play the video, Steve. Thank you.
Next slide, please. So as we close this presentation, I'm very grateful to work with the distinguished Executive Leadership Board that is responsible for all of the accomplishments today. We have worked very diligently to put on these events and programs to positively impact the community. It is important to recognize that these leadership positions allow the opportunity for employees to hone their skills and experience to become great leaders for LADWP. We have more leadership positions in our chapter that are not shown in the slide. And trust me when I say it, that they are the best and the brightest that this organization has to offer. Next slide, please. So lastly, I would like to thank Madam President Cynthia McCLAIN-HILL, Senior AGM Monique Earl, and all of the executive management for their continued support and for their efforts towards making a more inclusive and diverse workplace. Thank you all. Next slide.
Thank you.
And that's all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Marty?
Can I make a comment? Thank you. So thank you very much for your presentation. I have to tell the board, if you haven't been on a NSBE meeting, you should really tune in. It is remarkable. First of all, they have a ton of committees, which is great because it provides a lot of opportunities for people to report. And I am just astounded at the quality of people in their presentations and how they present themselves. And I mean, I know it's an engineering group, we're all working to be professional, but these folks really have it together. And I think we have a lot of future leaders coming up through the ranks. But I'm so impressed with the folks who've taken on the leadership roles, not only here, but and on that one picture of the executive committee, but also in the different committees, how they present themselves and represent the department. And I see that, I think, you know, how we continue to have these folks outreach into the department to represent us further and better, because they will be received so well because they do such a fantastic job and are so professional in what they do. So I want you both to know that I've seen that every single time, the quality of folks, recruited and the opportunities that you're providing everyone. It's not easy to get up in front and say and talk about stuff. And we have to get people used to that because that's a big part, I think, of their career. The other thing I wanted to thank the board was on item number 4 that you passed was a very important motion for us moving forward. We have been recruiting in the historically Black colleges and universities for a number of years. Back when Stefan Tucker, who you all know, was here, initiated a real robust recruiting effort. But one of the things that he found was that because we had no relationship, a lot of times the students really didn't know us, the faculty didn't know us, because we had no ongoing relationship, and just to show up once a year and try to recruit folks and ask them to move across country to Los Angeles. And so in item 4, we actually had an agreement with Amy, which is Advancing Minorities' Interest in Engineering. It's to do research studies. Like, it's the same kind of agreement we have with the local colleges, UCLA, USC, Northridge, Cal State LA, to access research opportunities to create that longer, deeper relationship with those schools and those professors, so that when we show up, they know who we are and they're looking for job opportunities. So thank the board for passing that and moving that forward. I think it'll be a big step forward for recruiting and create a whole new level of relationship that we haven't had in the past. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to congratulate NSBE for your 2 years and huge achievements on your part. I am really in awe of the wonderful things that you're doing. But more importantly, I congratulate you for the mentorship component of the organization, because that is very important for creating that space and that opportunity for other employees to gain like traction within the organization and know what it takes, that there is a pathway for them to become leaders and as well as contribute significantly to the department's mission and vision. And I also encourage everyone to practice allyship so that we are allies in this movement, and that we do present our authentic selves to our employees and what their needs and the resources that we can offer to them. So again, congratulations on your 2nd year anniversary. The board is 100%, 1000% behind you. So holler if you need help. We're here, and we're also joining and shouting, with you on this great win and anniversary of your achievements. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Any other comments? I'd simply like to add one thing, and Marty, this goes to the item that you referenced with respect to forming relationships with HBCUs. It only underscores the need for our department and for people all over, wherever they are, to really appreciate the choices that we make. It was only last week that the federal government opened up investigations into bombing threats that were directed at HBCUs. As we sit and speak today, those students are facing increased stress and intimidation. That is ongoing. This is not 1930, 1950. This is 2022. So it matters that our department and that our NSBE organization is partnering with HBCUs, that they stand and that we as a department stand as allies against hate, as proponents of diversity and proponents of equal opportunity. We do not in California very often encounter such blatant and disruptive and frightening displays of racism, which is not to say we don't encounter racism, but the kind of naked assault on people's ability to just live, let alone thrive, is not something that we run into in LA every day. That said, what we do in LA matters. and our ability, willingness to stand up and to stand together. And I'm so proud, not just of NSBE, but of NSBE's commitment to opening its doors and sharing, and those employees who have joined multiple employee resource groups as part of their demonstration of commitment and allyship to moving together. I'm so proud of that, but I just want to say that while we see this as something that's about DWP, it's also about so much more than DWP. The effort to continue in our quest for a more perfect union, it's not someone else's business or someone else's job. It's all of our jobs and all of our business. And we do that job wherever we are by how we move forward in pursuit of our goals and objectives. And DWP today is doing that job. And its employees are leading the way with the full support of its management team. And I'm just really, really, really proud of that. And wanted to just take a quick moment to underscore how important this is, not just to making sure that we have a diverse workforce, but providing a beacon and a light and showing where we stand in terms of how this nation moves forward. So thank you all for what you've done.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And with that, we will move to our very next presentation, information technology, always my favorite thing.
So now we'll turn over to Mark Northup, our Chief Information Technology Officer. I hope he can prove to be as interesting as NSBE was. So Mark, the challenge is on.
Oh man, I can't stand up to that presentation. They had a video. I mean, it was exciting. I mean, geez, this is kind of nerdy and boring. So great job to the presentation to the both of them. That was fantastic stuff. Thank you, commissioners, for having me here today to talk to briefly provide you an update on some of the IT issues and formats and things that we're doing to, you know, move the department forward with the transformational digitization of the environment and everything else. If we could go to the next slide, Steve, that would be great. Here, the agenda, we're going to talk about some of the things that have been, you know, facing the IT department. One, I will give you some detail about our staffing, recruitment, and training discussion. And then what I'll do is I will go in and highlight some of the different areas within the IT group under applications, infrastructure, network, and cybersecurity, programs that are work in progresses, as well as programs that have been completed or projects. I will then also provide some additional information around technology initiatives that we're moving forward with, where I am discussing with the different senior assistant general manager groups to understand their strategy and goals for each of their areas, and then combine those and align them with the IT strategy going forward that we will be talking about in the June-July timeframe with the commission. And then finally, I'd like to leave with an awareness, a situational awareness around cybersecurity and what's happening in that arena that is causing a little bit of you know, stress on the team, and but we're handling it very well. So my kudos to the team and everything else. If we go to the next slide, we'll get right into the agenda here. Well, IT staffing, when I first joined in one of my first meetings, I was grilled on how we're going to handle the staffing needs of the IT department. Well, I want to congratulate my team for incredible efforts they've made and some of the accomplishments they've done. In this last year, they filled 137 different vacancies. You know, 59 of those were from outside external candidates. And we continue to drive that and move forward. The team is focused on this, and they are dedicated to making the changes and making the efforts to fill the needs that we have for the department moving forward. It is not easy. I will tell you that. The team has explained to me the difficulties with the process, and I will be coming back to the commissioners with some ideas and thoughts as to the concerns that we have and some of the challenges that my team faces when we're challenged with getting qualified individuals in the organization here. As we all know, the market is tough already out there, and some of the policies and procedures that we do here make it even more difficult for my teams to hire the right individuals for the positions. In the recruitment side, there is a slight error in that first bullet. We haven't attended or participated in 32 recruitment events this year. It's actually last year. It was supposed to be in 2021. That's a typo on my part. My apologies. But we are out there actively in the marketplace. Additionally, my teams, as well as myself, are encouraged to volunteer and assist in our spring recruitment events. They're coming up. Most of them will be virtual, and we have one coming up that's actually going to be with the Society of Women Engineers, which will be in person, and I'm seeking qualified candidates, especially women in my side of the world, to attend that event and go out there and hopefully, entice some people to come and join the great team here that we already have. And then also, one of the things that obviously is great is we try and nurture the professionals that are out there or that are in college, and that's the Student Professional Worker Program, and we're undertaking that event as well. Next slide, please. Lastly, on the training part here, one of the things that was identified by my predecessor was that there was the need for some additional ITS leadership training. He instilled a fantastic program that was undertaken under my watch. And in December, we completed 120 participants in that program. They're finishing up the final credentials associated with that, but we've had great strides there. We're going to continue this type of education for our team going forward with some additional stuff that is foundational to the IT world. These are things such as called as Agile Development, which is a new way of developing things. TOGAF, which is around the architectural framework of designing things, and especially project management. This is one of our core needs for the entire department that we need to move forward with. Next slide, please. As we move on here, I'm going to walk us through 4 different areas of IT: applications, infrastructure, network, and cyber. Now, typically we'd had 5, but I've included CIS, or our Customer Information Systems, into the applications group to combine it because it truly is an application. And going forward, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight some of the areas that, one, are work in progress items associated with them. I'm not going to list them all, or I'm just going to highlight a few of them for your needs. You can read them. And if I were to detail out everything here, boy, the list would be overly encompassing and very boring to you. And additionally, I will highlight some of the ones that they've completed. Now, the team has done an outstanding job in the last quarter and then over the last year, and it's just my kudos to them for this tough last quarter, because we had some events there that really caused a hiccup in our normal working operations, and that was a cybersecurity event that occurred around December 10th, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. In the applications group here, I'm going to just highlight some of the big ones. We're all aware that we have a major ERP program going on, that we are making good progress in that. There's been some roadblocks, and there's been some hiccups in the road, and there's been some potholes, but we are accomplishing it, and the team is working very collaboratively to address and adjust to all those needs and still be in good standing position for the overall program. Additionally, we're working with distribution automation program. We are working on level pay. We're working on a water trouble management system that has been brought to our attention that we need to work on. And then there's also the website redesign. I'm working with communications as well as the CSD group going forward. Now, there's some things that I'd like to point out that I would really like to say my kudos to the CIS team and the business teams in one of the biggest things that rolled out just recently, and that's the Customer Debt Relief Program, which we heard about in one of the last meetings with the commissioners, and the Low-Income Easy Save Program. Additionally, my team, this is the budget season. One of the big things that was implemented last year was our budget system replacement program, and that was implemented, and that was instrumental to everything going here. But again, this is not an all-inclusive list of everything associated in here, but I'm just highlighting some of them for your own purposes and understanding. If we could go to the next slide under infrastructure, please. Thank you. Areas here that I really kind of point out is, one, we're really focusing on disaster recovery resiliency. This group is instrumental in developing that program for us so that if we were ever in a situation where we had to, we could operate in a disaster situation. Data center optimization is one of the other things that we're looking at, as well as virtual infrastructure and server upgrades that will optimize the overall organization. Additionally, there's been mainframe upgrades and there's been upgrades to other servers and versions that are very complicated, but what I can tell you is that this group is working relentlessly with the different systems with water and power to make sure that we're ready and we're moving forward and we're resilient going forward. Next group, next slide please, is under network. Here, there's been some massive upgrades as well, and the work is just nonstop. And just like the infrastructure team, if I were to list all the accomplishments, it would be just pages long. But some of the big ones are the microwave upgrades that are ongoing. There's a replacement of radio systems and comm devices that are necessary for field crews that are out there for security purposes, as well as the ability to communicate and operate effectively, and bandwidth expansion upgrades. We continue to build out an area where we call our fiber network. This is very important for us as well. We're starting to connect to offices, installations, substations that have been very difficult to reach before, but that network is being expanded continuously. Some of the things that have been completed, one that was very important to me that I realized that the team was the dedicated internet to the ECC group for 100% uptime of their mission critical functionality. That's obviously, I see some nods there that this is so important, everything else. And then the last group I'd like to go to is the cybersecurity group. If we go to the next slide, please, Steve. Thank you. This one I'm going to keep a little more generic because we don't like to share too much information on in the public about what we do. I can get very nitty gritty and detailed with this along with my colleague, Stephen Kwok, with you guys afterwards, but in a private session, but I'll keep it at a high level. This is for the protection of the department. But one of the things I'd like to point out that we're working on and continuously working on is that we're performing penetration and vulnerability testing of our environments. And what that means is we are testing, we're going to have third-party individuals test our environments and see if they can actually hack into our systems and everything else. This is a proactive approach to ensure that we are safeguarded against our enemies. And this is done in the industry, and it's done relatively, probably twice a year, I would say, between normal utilities and everything else. But this is something that we're going to continue doing, and we're going to continue to work with water and power to test both our IT and OT systems to ensure the resiliency of them. The other one is that we are continuing to educate our department employees on cybersecurity awareness. Now, this is great. It's not just something that they can learn for at work, but it's also something they can take home to their families and to their friends. But the goal is that we just become more aware every day of the things that are out there and what we can do to protect the department as well as our loved ones at home. Things that we're working on as well is we're continuing to work with the state and federal groups on cybersecurity, on the protection of LADWP. We are making huge strides there. The team is in meetings regularly, sometimes too often, almost daily, on issues that arise in the environment. But I will tell you, we are vigilantly working with them and helping them, and they're helping us to better LADWP's defenses. One of the things I do want to compliment not only the cybersecurity team, but also everyone in IT, as well as water and power that helped us. We just recently experienced, as I mentioned, in December, what we call a zero-day vulnerability. And what zero-day means is that when we're made aware of this vulnerability, we have 0 days to prepare for it. It means that it's already in our systems, and it means that we are vulnerable to a situation where someone could take advantage of our networks and or systems or our applications. And one was made aware, as I mentioned, in December 10th. The teams worked weekends, nights, long hours and every day to protect us against that with patching of the systems, the networks, the routers, the switches, the servers, I mean, the databases. It was a massive event, and this affected the entire world. Everyone was faced with this vulnerability, and our team did exceptionally well. And I mean, it was the collaboration of the entire department. It was not just IT, but water and power stepped up, and I want to commend everyone on the efforts there. One of the things that occurred, I will speak about in the situational awareness and explain why it was so important that that collaboration did exist. If you could go to the next slide, though, before I get to that situational awareness, I'd like to just bring up the fact that I am currently meeting with all the senior assistant general managers in the different groups to align their strategy going forward with IT. I'm going to have meetings. Meetings are being set up. Some have been conducted previously, and the meetings will continue. This is a goal to align the IT strategy and goals with the business to ensure that we meet their needs going forward. This is both a short-term as well as a mid and long-term vision. Some are longer than others, and some will take years to get there. And there will be processes and systems that will need to be in place systematically with roadmaps to meet the needs of the business. So again, our goal, my goal, is to align my strategy, the IT groups and my team's strategy with the business. Now, I'm not going to talk about all these, but some of the areas I just want to kind of focus on is that we're going to be focusing on management operations. We are looking at a digital customer experience hire. General Manager Martin Adams has spoken to me about this, as well as Joe Romalo and George Raphael, and we talked about how this person will come in and help lead the customer experience drive. This is a position that we're looking at bringing on board, as well as an architectural hire. We currently don't have an architect that understands the entire environment of LADWP. So this is a new hire that will be brought into the group as well, so that we can articulate exactly what needs to be done and how it will fit into the overall organization. Vendor operations, operational assessments will be conducted, and then there'll be a huge focus on customer focus, okay? And where we will look at the customer experience and how that will happen. We will create roadmaps, alignments with the business to get those out and executed. And lastly, under operational miscellaneous items, the project management office is another area. We're working on it right now. We're rolling that out shortly. We have a team in here working with us so that we can have the better governance and alignment of all programs and projects going forward. Now, if we go to my last slide, I'm just going to make you aware of the cybersecurity issue that is out there. It's a little blank. Yes, I apologize about that, but I'm just going to talk about it at a high level. What I wanted to tell you about is I've already mentioned the zero-day vulnerability that occurred in December. In January, we've been made aware by three-lettered agencies, and you can guess who those are, the DHSs, the FBIs, the NSAs, the DODs, and others, that there's a lot of geopolitical landscape information going out there, and there's a lot of concern around the Ukraine and Taiwan. Our two biggest adversaries in the market, Russia and China, are on moves. We don't know where this will go. No one can predict the future, but they have heightened the awareness to us that if something were to occur, and under the President Biden, if we were to try to contradict their approach to the Ukraine or Taiwan, the efforts may be made against the critical infrastructure of the United States by their cyber teams in some fashion or way to disrupt our services here in the United States. We have a major event coming up on Friday here. It's a big football event. We are working day and day with the NFL. Stephen and his team have daily calls with them to be ready for that event as well. Although it is not in our service territory, who else would think that, the power, if you're a bad guy, it's like, oh, the Super Bowl is being held in, Los Angeles. Let's attack Los Angeles, see if we can take their power down. I mean, we are hyper vigilant about the issues that are out there that we're facing. I will make you aware that a business partner of ours also experienced the zero-day vulnerability and actually had an attack against them. We were made aware of that attack and had to make, I will say, actions with that business partner to protect the department. Had not our teams under Water, Power, and Joint and the IT team done our due diligence previously, we may have experienced a problem with that. But fortunately to the team's efforts, and I want to say congratulations to all of them again, they kept us safe. So with that, I just wanted to make you aware that this environment under the cyber world is a little volatile right now. And we are hyper vigilant around this, and we are focused on keeping it safe. And I will tell you that we are 24/7 looking at things. So with that, I will conclude my discussion and open it up for any comments or questions that you may have. So thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from board members?
I have one question. I saw on one of the slides the distribution automation, because I know we do have a huge budget for that. And I think your slide says something like assisting in the DA or the distribution automation. Can you describe in more detail what that looks like? Assisting the distribution.
I can. Thank you, Commissioner. I've had some great discussions just recently regarding the AMI portion of distribution automation and the infrastructure associated with that. And the teams and I are working much more closely. I will tell you that the first couple months that I was here was a little bit of drinking from the fire hose, and I was unable to get with some of the more critical programs that are out there, distribution automation being one of them. I have dedicated myself to be closer tied to them, as well as reviewing TORPs and other programs and initiatives that are required for their advancement of that particular program going forward. And I will say that I did not know it at the time, but I was a roadblock to one of their things moving forward. And I was made aware of that just a few weeks ago. And I just made it an effort to, stop that. I didn't realize that I was a roadblock. I was preventing something from moving forward. I stopped that. I made the effort to make the correction, and we are now on hopefully moving forward, faster than we were before. So my goal is to work with that team, as well as provide them the dedicated IT resources necessary to make that program effective and meet the needs of, the mayor's directive for AMI to be implemented for power by 2025, as well as by, water afterwards. And we're looking at ways of bringing in third-party expertise as advisement and regarding as to how to implement AMI. I've actually met with two different vendors who have actually implemented successfully AMI programs. They're going to come in and talk to us, tell us what pitfalls and other things to avoid when we're making these decisions moving forward. So more to come on that. So very excited about the program itself. Hopefully that answers your question.
Other questions or comments? I don't see any. I just, so first, thank you for the presentation. It is, a different kind of mic drop. But I too took note at the top of the presentation and throughout at the number of items that you have put on your slides, and each and every one of them, relates to some critical, sort of rolls up to some critical level of service. So distribution automation being one, the ERP program, you indicated bumps and pitfalls and, sort of that everything's on track. I guess for me, as I look at all of this information, I'm still left to wonder how IT and IT's efforts are aligned to the deliverables that the department is, the ultimate deliverables that the department is trying to produce. And to the extent that there is alignment, and I was happy to hear that you are continuing to meet with your colleagues to make sure that the strategies with the various systems and divisions are reflected in the IT workflow. I don't have a sense of how this comes together and what it produces or when.
No,
that for me is a really critical thing. And so I'm interested to know not just that ERP is sort of moving, but I'm interested to know that it will it or won't it meet the strategic deliverable that the department has put forward, other parts of the department have put forward in presentations to the commission. And to your point about technology was a roadblock and I didn't know. I guess I have a lot of concern and heartburn about that because it suggests a subpar level of communication between our various systems and divisions and you or your team. And so I would simply say that we have gotten way too used to identifying obstacles to progress. And as an organization, it would be really helpful if we begin to shift to a joint problem-solving approach. I think that our technology efforts and leadership has evolved and is as strong as we could possibly want. And so it's now time for everyone to recognize that shift and to begin to work in a really aggressive, collaborative manner so that we can begin to stitch together strategic priorities that are being supported all across the department. So I would simply, as an observation, say that we cannot leave it to Mark to discover or to find the gaps. The rest of the department has to step forward and to support Mark in his efforts to understand how his systems support theirs, and Marty as a whole for the organization to determine what needs to happen and by when, so that all of this that's been put before us, I assume is on some, there are some project management system that is moving it through, but we want to make sure it's moving it through in a way that's strategically aligned with where we need to be by whatever date we've determined we need to be there.
Madam President, you brought up some great points there, and let me answer some of the questions that you had and the concerns you had there, and you rightfully brought up because what we've done. One of the questions you had was, will the ERP meet the strategic directives or deliverables that are required? I'm absolutely confident that it will. But the proof is in the pudding, in the fact that this is something that I can display to you at a later point, showing you our progress in greater detail. I thank you for that question, because from the report that is not evident, right? But I can provide you detail now. Now, one of the things you brought up was the alignment of the programs or the department's long-term strategic goals and everything else. And that's one of the reasons why I have reached out to my colleagues to ask for these meetings to align, to make sure that we are perfectly aligned. And the underlying thing to support that from an IT perspective is our IT PMO, Project Management Office, that is underway, and we're building out the governance process by which these programs that are of the ultimate highest priority, strategic priorities, they will be aligned and I will say, what's the right word for it? Prioritized to ensure that they meet the goals and the timelines as defined by the department. So that is one thing that we're working on, and we needed help in developing that project management office, and that's who we have in right now. We have a group helping us put that together. And from a communication standpoint, I will say that my colleagues have reached out to me. I really appreciate it. And I thank you for you encouraging them more, because there are moments when, like I said, I was a little inundated trying to learn everything, and I'm still learning everything, obviously, in my path here. But they do reach out to me and they say, hey, we need some help here. And that's when I immediately pivot my focus to help them in those situations and everything else. But the goal is that we don't get to that point so that we're reactive, but I'm more proactive. And I will tell you that that is becoming one of my priorities here as having the project management office and the alignment of the strategic goals, so that we can anticipate what we need and properly plan this out. And the better communication between the groups of having those sessions where we will actually have individuals from the business participating in the project management office to ensure that their needs are being met and everything else going forward. But you bring up some excellent points there. I will admit those are all very good points, and those are things that we are, striving to meet in the next, probably 6 months, that we will be, getting our feet wet with actually kicking off the project management office and actually getting this stuff started so that we can go for it. There'll be tiny steps, then we'll pick up and pace and start running really effectively with it. That's the hope for the end of the year. So thank you for those questions and those comments.
Well, no, thank you. And I also kudos on your hiring, 137 positions. That's a lot, I know, to get.
The thanks goes to the team and not me.
Yes, I want to salute the efforts of your team. It's been pretty spectacular, and look forward to better understanding what we need to do and how the department needs to support change in order to continue this pace and to allow you to continue to ramp up as you move forward. So this has been a really excellent presentation. So much of what has gotten in the way for this department has been the lack of appropriate technology infrastructure. I know it's a huge undertaking, but am very confident in your progress so far.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move then to the next item on the agenda. Oh, and just as an aside, we will schedule a closed session on cybersecurity for the benefit of the commission.
Okay.
That sounds great.
I just want to thank you. For the incredibly hard work and the dedication and really focus in so many ways. Sometimes I wish I didn't know as much. Let's just put it that way. But I feel safer. So it's like many other efforts that the DWP goes into deeply. It's impressive. Thank you.
The hat goes off to the professional team that we have and everyone that works so hard. I mean, they are dedicated beyond belief. Long hours, nightless sleeps. I mean, just an impressive team. Really is. The hat goes off to them. It's really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that and for that acknowledgement. And I've worked with Mr. Kwok, and I know that he is quite an exceptional professional. So kudos to your team. We can move to item J, filed items. Are there any questions or comments regarding the filed items? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll move to item K1, which are the minutes for our January 11th regular board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So move. Seconded.
Would you please call the roll?
Board President McCLAIN-HILL,
Aye.
Vice President Reyes,
Aye.
Commissioner BARAD Hopkins, Commissioner LEHRER,
Aye.
Commissioner NEEMAN Brady,
Aye.
4 ayes.
Terrific. That item is passed. We are now at the conclusion of our open session agenda and ready to move into closed session. Mr. Bravich.
Yeah, at this point, we will adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, at this point, we will recess into closed session to address the items on the closed session portion of the agenda, M1 through M10. And we will report any final actions taken therein in accordance with California Government Code Section 54957.1. Commissioner, what time would you like to reconvene in closed session?
We're at 11:30. I know that we've got some time constraints on part of commissioners. So does 11:45 work? Or would people like to move it out to 12? It looks like 11:45 will work. So why don't we go into closed session and reconvene at 11:45?
Great. We are in recess until 11:45, at which time we will reconvene in closed session. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Please remain silent while the recording is turned off.